Welcome to God Sees You. You are not alone. We want to thank God for giving us another opportunity to come and share wisdom, to come and share the things that we need to be talking about as women, the things that we need to be addressing as women. Now, it is no secret that we have been facing so many challenges, especially in the past decades, with COVID and HIV and AIDS. There's just so much that has been happening in our lives, and those things have left us so much affected, and we have been struggling to rise above the challenges that we have been facing, especially our emotions, the way we think, and there's so many thoughts that are in our hearts. Now, when you go to the Bible, Jesus says, in this life, you will have trials, you will have tribulations, you will be persecuted, there will be calamities. And that is a promise from the Lord. And then he says, but then take heart, because I have overcome the world. Now, we try so much to run away from challenges and calamities, yet the Lord has promised us that these are the things that we are going to be facing. So today we want to address the issue of mental health. So we're going to be talking about what is mental health, so that we can understand that in the situation that we are facing, in the challenge that you are facing, my dear listener, or if you are watching us on the social media platforms, how can you rise above where you are? Or how can you recognize that, you know what, I am struggling with my emotions, or I am struggling mentally, or I am struggling, in handling the situation or the challenges I have faced in the past, or I am currently facing. So with me, I have a wonderful guest. I'd like her to introduce herself.
Thank you, Zetu. My name is Nontobeko Dlamini. I am the chairperson of Eswatini Psychology Association. I am also an industrial organizational psychologist. I'm also a holistic wellness coach and a life design facilitator. Before I'm a psychologist, Nilswati. I'm an African and God-fearing, and also someone who believes spirituality is one of our core anchors in issues of mental health.
Wow. So I just want you to explain, what is mental health?
So when we speak mental health is not the absence of illness.
Okay.
It's not the presence of illness. It is neither.
Okay.
However, mental health is a status that you, as a person, get to exhibit or experience due to certain levels of being. So as a person, we all know how the mind is a powerful force in getting us to get to places where, if we really put our mind to something, we can conquer a lot.
Okay.
So mental health relates to the whole concept of where there's positive mental health and negative mental health.
Okay.
Positive mental health status. We are looking at where you are in a healthy mental space.
Okay.
Then when we look at negative mental health status, then that is where you are now challenged mentally in terms of reaching a sense of balance.
Okay.
Which then can tend to get to a point of you literally could reach spaces where you now have, for example, a mental disorder. Because as a psychologist, I don't tell you what to do.
Okay.
When you ask a question, I ask a question back.
Okay.
So that you start thinking.
Yeah, so that I kind of
That's
try
reflection.
to find this. Okay, that's reflection.
What reflection is.
Oh, okay.
Reflection
Wow.
is question on a question.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
That is so amazing, Nondo. That is so amazing. And then, what are some of the other disorders that are part of the mental health?
So some disorders, for example, something that I always say a lot of the time, I worry about pastors' wives.
Okay.
And what I call PKs.
Okay.
Pastors' kids.
Okay.
I call them PKs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They grow up in the structure where if the leader of the family, in this case, ukhumbule, the person is a pastor and a leader in church. At home, you are the head of the family.
Okay.
So which means your leadership role is double all the time.
Okay.
In the community, you are already defined. Before people say, you are no longer, this is Mr. So and so.
Okay.
This is Pastor
Okay.
so and so.
Okay.
everywhere you go,
Their expectations.
there's expectations now.
Okay.
The challenge with that is a pastor themselves, you will find when they are alone, a lot of things get so overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
Who
Hey.
do they talk to? They need to debrief. Otherwise, you will find there's studies, for example, in America where you find where pastors hang themselves.
Yeah.
They kill themselves, literally, they kill themselves.
Okay.
Yet, even that, according to the Bible, is so called a
Yeah.
sin. They literally get to the point where they are human.
That is so, oh my goodness. Because, even with the COVID, I was reading a report where they were saying, especially overseas, that so many pastors killed themselves
Yes.
because there was such an exodus in the church. There was the lockdown, people were in the homes, but then when the lockdowns were lifted, people did not come back. And some of them, this was their source of income.
Yes, exactly. So also that's another challenge is people struggle to understand. I'll take it back.
Okay.
Umvangeli.
Yeah.
An evangelist would go home to home,
Yeah.
community to community,
Okay.
and minister the word of God,
Okay.
and try to uplift people's hope in life.
Okay.
For them, it wasn't about
Okay.
getting paid.
Okay.
They were literally servants.
Uh-huh.
And that is another form of leadership.
Okay.
Servant leadership.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
So there's different types of leaderships as well that in my work space,
Okay.
when I do leadership development,
Uh-huh.
there's charismatic leader, autocratic leader, there's your servant leadership.
Yes.
So different types.
Okay.
So sadly, in the times we are living in,
Okay.
ministerial work has become about also the proceeds that come your way.
Okay.
This is why when, as a pastor, for example, if you do not have a form of career
Okay.
where you are making money
Okay. Outside the
outside
church.
of the church,
Okay.
then there's going to be a lot of, just overlap of things and
Okay.
uyayibona, that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Okay.
But then also the pressure is very high.
Yeah. Hey.
The pressure for that person is very high.
Okay.
To constantly be on point. The wife must constantly be on point.
On point.
The children must be on point.
They must behave
They
well.
must keep a certain type of perception
Okay.
for the public to see.
Okay.
It's like politics.
Okay.
In America, that's why politicians that get into Senate, they have their own businesses.
Okay.
They have their own careers.
Okay.
They are educated people. You understand?
yeah.
Because if you are going to be a servant leader, it will be hard to be a servant leader and be hungry.
That's true.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's also about striking the balance.
Okay.
The mental health side of that now, someone in that role, for example, a pastor's wife.
Yes, yes. I want us to
Pastor's
talk
wife
about that. Yeah.
can find herself easily because of the pressures of always, one, you need to look good.
Okay.
Looking good gay in itself is subjective.
Okay.
Proper, small waist, everything, makeup, you name it. Heels and
that's the standard people have
standard that-
set. It's not a
exactly.
standard God has
Yes.
set. Yeah.
The sad part about that is that person could easily develop a mental disorder,
Okay.
and where they could easily have a behavior where they eat in a certain way
Okay.
to maintain that type of weight
Okay.
that is expected by society.
Okay.
So a disorder, for example, an eating disorder called bulimia. Bulimia, the person will eat. When everyone is not watching,
Okay.
they would go to the toilet
Uh-huh.
and throw it all up.
Okay. Why eat if I'm going to
Because
throw
I
it
must
up?
eat, I must show as I'm eating.
Oh, like I'm normal.
Like I'm normal.
yes. Oh, okay.
So a disorder is when you're presenting and exhibiting behavior where normal around people,
But
in
when
your
you're by
corner,
yourself.
yeah. Because anorexia, for example,
Okay.
is when you just don't eat
At all.
or you eat literally
Like
only
a
handful.
carrot, you
Yeah,
know.
yes.
A
For the
leaf
re-
of
for the whole
lettuce
day.
for the whole day.
Yes.
Because I have to maintain a certain
Yes.
weight. That is expected
Expected.
by society.
So that's a mental disorder.
Oh my goodness.
And that is very dangerous because then that person easily could develop other chronic now medical illnesses even. And to be able to treat that person, you would first need to identify that something's wrong here. But who will identify it?
Who will identify it? Because she has to keep up this face.
you.
Now, Nondo, you know, you've just touched on a very, very, very sensitive topic. Because I'm just thinking that you mentioned that where do servants of God offload? Because they've got so. Now I am thinking that where does umkokeli or the first lady offload? Because when, like you are saying, when she comes to church, we are
Yes.
expecting her to be on point, the
Yes.
way she looks with the makeup and whatever. We are expecting her to be on point in terms of attitude.
Yes.
She must be smiling.
Yes,
you
all the
know.
time.
She must be smiling all the time. If she doesn't greet me or she just walks by, I'm like,
I feel
she has an
offended.
attitude. Yes, I feel
I take it
offended.
personally.
Exactly. You know, her kids
Yes.
have to be on point in terms of the way they look, in terms of the way they behave.
Yes.
A certain slight misbehavior, and then look at their kids, you know, they say they are our leaders and stuff like that. So let's just talk about that, how that affects that kind of a person who is in that position. Because I think we tend to forget that she's, like you were saying, as much as she's a leader in the church, she's also a mother. She's also a
wife.
woman.
Yes.
She's also a wife like the
And a
next
sister to
person.
someone.
And a sister
And a
like
child to someone.
You know, like all of us, you know.
So there's a lot. Thank you for that, because the challenge is, in as much as also it's a case of expectations and all, she's also taking a lot of problems. Because a lot of people are coming,
We're
to,
coming
her
to her,
for
exactly,
counsel.
yes.
Everyone feels like she's going to be the savior of their problems.
Okay.
But who is she talking to?
Who is she talking to?
Who is she offloading? Because Pelukumbule, this man is a pastor, yes.
Yes.
But ultimately, this is a man. This is a husband. There are things that
She
probably
cannot share
he's
with her.
doing that could potentially not make her happy sometimes.
Yes.
Who is she offloading that to?
Ish. Yeah.
So if also from a perspective of being a supporting role to a pastor, which is what she is,
Okay.
meaning supporting role to everything that the pastor
Is doing basically, yeah.
Uyayibona le mfo le? If she doesn't take time for self-care, it's going to be an explosion
A
at some
disaster.
point. It will take
Yeah.
something so small to trigger her. You can find the person literally doing things that we never thought even possible.
Yeah.
Because they've been keeping, you know, when water keeps dripping into this bucket, eventually the bucket will
It
get
will be
full.
full, yeah.
So if the bucket doesn't have a space where it offloads, then it's a problem, because when it
Yeah.
starts overflowing,
Yeah.
the question is, what is overflowing?
Ish. Yeah, that is so true. Because there was a case, I mean, because these things that we're talking about are so real. It's not just fiction. There's a
Yes.
case, a very sad case of a lady. She was, I think, 60s or 50s, if I remember correctly. And she was like this strong woman in the church, you
Yes.
know, who's always counseling other women, ministering to other women. But then, unfortunately, at some point, she committed suicide. And it was such a shocker because people were like, how? But she's been counseling people. She's been helping people. She ministers to women. Then, you know, when I kind of like thought about it was, who did she offload to?
Yes. It's the same with psychologists. Psychologists have the highest suicide rates
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it just gets a lot. It gets too much.
It gets too much.
Yes.
Because I'm telling you my nitty-gritty
There's
stories.
certain things also, especially Yabo Eswatini, I'm concerned. It's such a small country. The population is too close-knit.
Yeah.
That on its own is very, very tricky to navigate,
Okay.
because we really know each other a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole point where people assume a psychologist is not human.
Okay.
So, for example, I can come across my client at Malandela's.
Okay.
I'm having lunch
Uh-huh.
and I'm having a glass of wine.
Uh-huh.
That client will look at me as Haibo.
Okay.
And then do you understand?
Yes.
They forget that I'm not a psychologist 24/7.
Okay.
There are other roles
Uh-huh.
and other sides to me that are alive.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it's the same within the church.
okay.
And the reason why, for example, pastors' wives or pastors' children, especially the girl child, because a
Okay.
lot of the time the boy child can rebel.
Okay.
And people will say yes, but if
Yeah.
the pastor's girl child rebels and exhibits certain behavior, it's an outcry.
Okay.
There's judgment.
Yes, that's
There
true.
is, and the people judging, it's the women.
Okay.
It's always women judging women.
That have kids as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the woman in church is going to judge Mamfundis, the pastor's wife,
okay.
for not being okay on that day.
Okay. She
Because
was not
people,
smiling.
people in
yeah.
actual fact, people want to take and take and take and take.
Okay.
So as a person that is in a leadership position or in a position where you find yourself carrying space for others, you need to have boundaries.
Okay. Okay.
You
I
also
like that.
need to be okay with the fact that tell people, you know what, I'm not feeling all right today.
Okay.
Normalize not feeling all right.
So even if we struggle with handling that, because like, why are you
Yes.
not all right?
But
You
we
are
must
supposed
hear
to.
it. When people hear it,
Let's get used to it.
people will also start understanding
Yeah.
that you are
okay.
human.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we must talk about it in ministry. When you are standing at the pulpit as a pastor or pastor's wife, let's talk about the fact that bazalwane yathi namuhla, hayi man, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm tired.
Yes. Uh-huh.
I've burned out. Burnout is when you've been literally working so hard to the point where you have not given yourself a moment to rest.
Yeah,
Your
okay.
brain is tired.
Okay.
Burnout is when your brain
Yeah.
is tired.
Okay.
So a lot of pastors suffer from burnout as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
So what can easily happen is, so they can then have an addiction, which is another mental health problem.
Okay.
So there's addictions, different types of addictions.
Uh-huh.
Substance abuse and
Okay.
use.
As a leader in the church.
Yes. And
Doing
yeah.
that secretly.
Secretly, because you're trying to cope through.
Aish, yeah. Hey?
So coping mechanisms. When we talk mental health, we also look at coping mechanisms. How are you coping? Simple thing.
Okay.
How is there to coping from not dating?
Sure.
It's because she's self-preserving, meaning before she even is given the opportunity to date this man, she's already had a list of things of why it is not going to work.
Okay.
You're self-preserving.
Okay.
So it means you would rather create a scenario of the relationship not working so that you don't even get into it, so that you don't get hurt.
Sure.
Self-preservation
Okay.
is also a mental self-sabotaging
Explain that.
So, so sometimes to avoid disappointment,
Yes.
we create scenarios to protect
Ourselves, yeah.
from even embarking on that
Okay.
or exploring, you know,
Okay.
that opportunity. It even happens in careers where you feel inadequate. You feel less of yourself. You feel like you don't qualify.
Okay.
So you then start creating scenarios of why you mustn't even apply for that job.
Because I
Won't get it
accept
anyway.
it.
So even though everyone says, I can actually
Do it,
qualify
yeah.
and do it, if you personally, you psychologically have not reached a point of self-acceptance,
Okay.
a point where you acknowledge yourself, you acknowledge the fact that you can do things. If you are someone who's always looking for validation in order to do things, you self-sabotage.
Sure, no, you know what, that is so huge. And I'm sure if you're watching or listening to us, you are like, that is me. Because you know what, the self-sabotage is so big and silent, nobody sees it.
Exactly.
And you know,
exactly.
we have justified excuses for
Yes.
that.
We called it excuses.
Yeah, we called
Yeah.
it excuses,
It's
especially, yes,
self-sabotaging.
like you were saying, like you are this single person. Maybe you were hurt, you were disappointed in a relationship at
Exactly.
some point.
Yes. Or you could have been a spectator, meaning you saw
So
others getting hurt.
yes, yeah.
So you sit and say, I'd rather not. So
Self-sabotaging.
Yeah, you're self-sabotaging because you're not allowing yourself to experience life. You're not living. You're not
Yeah.
living life.
You've created that space you were talking about earlier on, where you create that space in your corner. You're living in this fantasy world, so
Yes,
to say.
in a bubble.
In
Yeah.
a bubble,
Yes.
yeah.
You put yourself in a bubble and you actually feel like, no, I'm safe here. I'm better off here.
But you're not living.
You're
You're
not
not
living
enjoying the life
life.
God has called you to
Yes.
live.
Yes.
So, no, how do we come out of that?
That is why then.
Because there's this fear now. Is fear a disorder?
Fear is not a disorder. Fear is a mental state.
Okay.
A disorder is when the behavior becomes negative to the point where it even can lead to illness.
Okay.
Fear is something that can be learned.
Okay.
Behavior.
Okay.
Fear is a mental state that you find yourself in
Okay.
because of certain experiences and traumas, perhaps, or you observed it, or someone drilled it into you that you are not good enough,
Okay.
that you don't deserve this, you know, that type of thing.
Yes, yes.
Fear also can happen through the church where we fear the wrath of God, we misinterpret it.
Yeah.
as to what it means.
Okay.
Fear can happen, for example, where we struggle to now also come to terms with balancing what is a sin and what is not a sin
Okay.
according to the Bible and according to people. So you can have fear of pursuing a woman when you can see that I love this person.
Okay.
Because your perception has been, the Bible says, or at church they say,
It must be a
Yabona,
certain
there's a certain
kind.
structure, process that I follow.
Okay.
There's a path that I follow.
Even the type
even
of
the
person.
type of person.
Yes. There's a, because that is a big challenge, because you find that this person is also a child of God.
Of course, we
But
all are.
maybe their dress code doesn't align with the way you have been taught.
The
that
socially
long skirts,
constructed.
yes, yes. So how can we come out? Because I mean, there are young ladies out there, maybe others even not so young, where maybe they're in their 40s. They are not married, not because nobody comes their way, not because of whatever, but the major issue is that self-sabotage.
So it's really different according to, there's conversations that we need to have.
Okay,
So let us host.
okay,
Let us host the conversations.
yeah, okay,
Conversations around self-sabotaging habits.
okay,
How to navigate that space
okay,
so that we find ourselves dealing and getting out of it.
yeah, okay.
How to identify it first and foremost.
Yeah, if I
'Cause
am
sometimes
sabotaging,
we
don't know. That's the thing. It's my first time hearing. So now I'm looking at certain areas in my life where I have been sabotaging, self-sabotaging. Yeah.
Yes.
Because that is important. That is important. Okay. With the few minutes that we have left, let's talk about you. You spoke about pastors' kids.
Yes.
Because I really want us to address that. We will not be able to address everything.
Yes, yes.
Most of them, you know, we ended up developing this notion that a pastor doesn't give birth to a pastor. Where it came from was that you'd find that the pastor's kids want nothing to do with the church
Yes.
because of all these things, because they see everything at home, you know, the stress that the parents go through, the grief that they go through, because we bad chat to our pastors, we don't want to listen, we gossip them and all of those things. So how are they affected in terms of their mental
So
health
a
and
pastor's kid,
stability?
for example, you find could easily vele have certain addictions
Yeah.
or have certain disorders that they find themselves adopting, or have vele find they are depressed.
Yeah. Okay.
Because remember, this is for them, this is their father. That's all they want to see.
They want to see their dad,
They just
their
want their
mom.
dad and their mom.
Yeah. Okay.
But sometimes as pastors or as pastors' wives, we struggle to disengage.
Okay.
That I now am at home, I'm a mom.
Okay.
My child must come and talk to me about anything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the child also as well has no relationship with
Okay.
the parents.
Okay.
So the child is not even able to say, yes, I hear there's ministry and everything, but I'm interested in music.
Okay.
But not music gospel, music hip hop.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
We as, for example, parents, pastors' wives, we need to get to a point where we stop projecting and putting all these expectations and pressures on our children
Okay.
to become what we are.
Okay.
Parents in general
Yes.
struggle to, if a teacher always believes that a child can be a teacher, must be
yeah.
a teacher, because they experience the teaching and they feel
they enjoyed
it's what
it,
you're born.
yeah.
Also, so with the pastoral ministerial, also now it's about the brand.
Okay.
So
I have to pass it
continuation
on. Yes.
of the legacy
Continuation. Yeah.
and the
Okay.
brand.
Uh-huh.
It's like children who are born in a business
Uh-huh.
environment.
Yes.
They
The
want
expectation.
nothing. They
yeah.
don't want anything to do with business.
Okay.
Because it takes away my father. It takes away my mother.
Okay.
I can never engage or talk to them in a
because they
normal
are
form.
always-
Because they're constantly in a role, wearing the hat of pastor, they can't just go to Mlilwane and have fun.
Okay.
They go to Mlilwane, they have fun, but now there's church people.
That come
are like-
along.
they are coming, they now
Eish.
want to spend time with it. For goodness sake, it's family time.
Talk to church. Let's talk to church people about that, Nondo,
Church people
because
must
we are not
understand
sensitive.
that pastors and pastors' wives have a life that they must live.
We need to give them space.
Give them space to be.
Yeah.
Those families are broken.
Yeah.
It's painful.
Okay.
The children coming out from those spaces are wounded,
Yeah.
and they are wounding other people.
That's true.
Just like all of us, Jay,
in
with broken
general,
families, and
yes.
we are wounded, and we wound each other.
Okay.
That's why a lot of relationships are struggling now to be sustainable.
Okay.
It's the wounded coming together
Together
with the wounded.
Yeah.
And we are wounding each other. And we live with another wound, and we're going to wound others. It's a woundedness.
And we
nje.
raise a wounded
We are
generation.
raising wounded generations who are the rebelliousness.
It's a
and
mess.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
But it's a mess that needs to be fixed.
It can be not fixed. There needs to be the reflection process.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
We
I
need
like that.
people to take accountability, because we struggle with that.
Yeah.
Especially, I'll speak to a Maswati, we struggle with being accountable.
Okay.
Because
okay.
we always want to be given instructions on what to do, how to be, how to exist.
Okay.
So we can blame someone else if it fails.
We don't want to take full responsibility.
No. That's why it's okay when the pastor says prosperity. If it doesn't happen, I blame the pastor. What did you do to reach your prosperity?
You know, because
How
you have
did
to
you
go
walk
out and
towards it?
work. Yeah. Whew, my goodness. Dear listener, if you're watching us, we can go on forever. Our time is up. So just join us in these two sessions where we are just addressing the issue of mental health. And we are just trusting and believing God that in the next couple of months, like Nondo was saying, we are going to be hosting, because we need to have a relaxed platform where we just be chatting, talking about these issues, some of the issues we cannot address on air or online. So yeah, watch this space. We will be updating you about those sessions that we'll be having. So Nondo, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so much
taking
for
your
having
time
me.
and coming on this show. We will be bringing her now and again, because the issues we are addressing on God Sees You, You Are Not Alone, are issues that touch on our emotions, touch on our minds, are issues that need to be dealt with so that we don't repeat the cycle, because we are in this problems or mess that we are in, because we have not reflected, like she has said, we have not taken the time to really talk about what is really bothering us. So thank you so much for joining us. So to contact us, do keep in touch with us on 7659-1490, or go to our social media platforms, or you can send us an email or on godsees2022@gmail.com. So have a blessed night. Thank you.